This is Morgan Hazelwood, back again with more writing tips and writerly musings. Today, I'm here to share with you the 10 types of queriers. Now, if you've ever considered traditional publishing, you probably know a little about querying. In fact, if you've ever watched my vlog before, I might have mentioned it a time or 10. Now, self-published authors get to skip the query trenches altogether, but know that theirs is a hard road. They've got marketing and advertising and building their brands while working on the next novel. Not that those who aren't self-publishing don't have to deal with those, because we do, but they're going it alone, and it's a rough road. But for the rest of us who are trying to do traditional publishing, or at least some of our stuff traditionally published, we all take different approaches to querying agents. What type of querier are you? Are you the Goldilocks who follows all the rules? This querier follows all the query tips. They do enough research to personalize if applicable, then tweaks the query and first pages until the response rate is reasonable, and then they send their queries out in batches of 7 to 10, and they send a new query out every time they get a rejection letter or they hit a timeout window, and they have it on their Google Calendar. And after 100 queries, this querier is either agented, planning to self-publish, or shelves the manuscript and has a new one ready to query. Just like we're supposed to. But as we know, not all queryists are Goldilocks. Next up, we have the I know a guy. This querier knows there's nothing like that personal touch. She goes to conventions and signs up for all the one-on-ones with the agents in her genre, especially the ones that represent the novels that her book comps directly to. This querier only queries agents that she has met personally, because she knows that'll give her that extra level of attention from the agents. Anything to get ahead of the nameless crowds of the slush pile. Next up, we have the perfectionist. This wannabe querier is almost ready. The novel just needs one more round of revisions, but he's going to query as soon as this draft is done. Or at least that's what he's been saying for the last 10 years. Next up, we have, are the signs right? This querier is superstitious. She only queries on Wednesday mornings because, Mondays are when they're dealing with the weekend inbox stuff, and Tuesdays, they might still be working on that inbox, and Thursdays they're getting ready for Friday. Anyway, she queries on Wednesday mornings before lunch when it's raining, because then they're not distracted in making calls and going out to lunch. And on the Wednesday mornings that the dog lets her sleep into the alarm. I mean, you gotta have standards. And each query has exactly 246 words, because that's her sweet spot. And she hits send while listening to the second verse of Hamilton's "I'm not throwing away my shot." Next up, we have the eager NaNoWriMite. I love me NaNoWriMo, but there are some. This querier wrote his first book in November, polished it himself in January, and he's going to be querying 3 agents a week until he gets that big book deal. Who needs a beta reader? Inspiration was with him, and this book is so timely. Next up for our types of queriers, we have the squirrel. This querier starts off well. Z sends out a batch, but then Z gets caught up in a new project or a writing contest and forgets to query that second round of agents. But don't worry, Z'll get back to it just as soon as this new project is, because he just got a great new story idea. Next up, we have the doubter. This querier knows she needs to get her manuscript out there. She agonizes over her query letter with about 4 bazillion rewrites, finally works up the nerve, hits send, and as soon as she rereads it, she sees like 12 typos and that really awkwardly phrased thing. How did that even get through the revisions? So she eats a box of cookies and agonizes for like 2 weeks and fixes the query letter and sends it out. And after that first rejection letter comes in, she stares at her story. Her manuscript is probably getting drowned in a pile of similar tropes by her mediocre writing. Maybe she should tweak those first pages again. The query obviously should be improved. And maybe the market is wrong right now and she should wait and query later. Maybe another look at the synopsis. Her stinks. The doubter. And next up we have, oh, sweet summer child. This querier has finally polished his novel and knows that he is ready. It's time to let the agents know. He looks online and he queries every agent in his genre on Query Tracker in under a week and reaches out for suggestions for other agents to query before he's even heard back from the first agent, because it's ready and either they take it or not. He's not gonna change anything. It's done. They either take it or he moves on to his next project. Next up, we have the token attempt. This querier knows their novel is too niche for the market. They know they're going to have to self-publish anyway, but they might as well pop off a few queries to their dream agents. You know? It's okay. They've already prepped the novel for like self-publishing, and as soon as they get that last rejection, they're going to hit publish. And finally, we have the Morgan. This querier does tons of research using all the social media, staying this side of stalking, not crossing that line. She rearranges and tweaks her query. Do they like the stats first or launch with the query part, with the story? Just customizes it for that agent. And then every 10 rejections, she takes a good hard look at her manuscript and decides clearly there's something she should be fixing and revises it again for the 8th time. So, those are the 10 types of queriers. I think it's pretty clear we know which one I am. Which one are you? Or do you think you would be if you were querying a novel? And that's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button and share it with all your friends. It goes a long way towards helping people find me. And I'll be back again next Monday with more writing tips and writerly musings. Bye-bye.